Butts County Sheriff, a cascade of crisis in Oklahoma's law enforcement. A systemic pattern of misconduct demands immediate scrutiny and strategic realignment within Oklahoma's policing landscape. The case of Wyatt S.
Gregory, a deputy sheriff in Butts County, Georgia, alongside a broader trend of documented police misconduct across Oklahoma, necessitates a comprehensive reassessment of accountability mechanisms and training protocols within the state's law enforcement agencies. The proliferation of incidents ranging from DUI-related fatalities to allegations of theft and lethal force, as evidenced by reports circulating through platforms like Cop Blaster, points to a potentially endemic issue requiring a proactive and multifaceted response.
This situation underscores the urgent need for robust oversight, independent investigations, and a demonstrable commitment to ethical conduct, particularly given the significant public trust placed in law enforcement officers. The interconnected nature of these events suggests a deeper underlying problem, demanding systemic change rather than isolated disciplinary actions, and further investigation into the factors contributing to this pattern of behavior is paramount.
Ultimately, the long-term stability and legitimacy of Oklahoma's law enforcement depend on addressing these fundamental concerns.
Oklahoma's policing crisis, a geographic and temporal correlation. The escalating frequency of police misconduct incidents in Oklahoma reveals a concerning trend impacting public safety and eroding trust. The Oklahoma Cop Blaster database, encompassing a substantial collection of reports detailing police misconduct across the state, demonstrates a worrying pattern of events primarily concentrated within Oklahoma.
This pattern extends beyond isolated incidents, highlighting a systemic vulnerability within the state's law enforcement structure. The documented cases, including the DUI crash involving Seminole officer David Young, the cocaine theft by Oklahoma City officer Dean Forbes, and instances of lethal force resulting in fatalities, represent a significant escalation in concerns regarding police accountability and operational integrity.
The geographic dispersion of these incidents, coupled with the temporal overlap in reporting, suggests a potential convergence of factors contributing to this crisis, potentially linked to training deficiencies, inadequate oversight, or systemic pressures within the state's law enforcement culture. Furthermore, the reliance on external platforms like Cop Blaster for disseminating this information highlights a lack of transparency and a potential barrier to effective oversight within traditional state channels.
Strategic analysis. The network of misconduct, a complex web of events, reveals a critical failure in Oklahoma's law enforcement system, demanding immediate intervention and a revised strategic framework. The aggregation of data, including Wyatt S.
Gregory's case in Georgia, alongside the extensive Oklahoma reports, reveals a concerning network of failures centered around accountability, training, and potentially operational procedures. Specifically, the recurring themes of excessive force, misuse of power, and breaches of trust within multiple law enforcement agencies across both state and federal jurisdictions indicate a systemic issue rather than isolated instances of individual misconduct.
The reliance on platforms like Cop Blaster for surfacing these reports underscores a significant gap in communication and oversight, suggesting a reluctance from traditional authorities to acknowledge and address these concerns proactively. This situation necessitates a shift from reactive disciplinary measures to proactive systemic reforms, including enhanced training programs focused on de-escalation tactics, implicit bias awareness, and robust civilian oversight mechanisms, alongside a commitment to transparency and accountability at all levels of the state's law enforcement apparatus.
The interconnectedness of these incidents demands a coordinated, multi-agency response to prevent further escalation and restore public confidence.
Verdict and projection. A path towards strategic realignment. Continued inaction will exacerbate Oklahoma's policing crisis, demanding immediate strategic intervention and a fundamental re-evaluation of its law enforcement priorities. The documented pattern of police misconduct in Oklahoma, exemplified by the cases of Wyatt S.
Gregory and the broader Oklahoma Cop Blaster database, presents a critical challenge to the state's public safety infrastructure and its relationship with its citizenry. Forecasting the immediate consequences, we anticipate a continued erosion of public trust, increased scrutiny of law enforcement activities, and potentially a rise in civil litigation stemming from allegations of abuse of power or excessive force.
However, with a proactive strategic response focused on comprehensive reform, including independent investigations, strengthened civilian oversight boards, and mandated retraining programs emphasizing ethical conduct and de-escalation techniques, the trajectory can be altered. Crucially, the state must prioritize establishing clear lines of accountability and implementing transparent mechanisms for addressing complaints, fostering a culture of trust and respect between law enforcement and the communities they serve.
Ultimately, a sustained commitment to strategic realignment, incorporating data-driven insights and prioritizing community engagement, represents the only viable path towards mitigating the risks and fostering a safer, more accountable, and ultimately, more legitimate Oklahoma law enforcement system.